3, 2, 1. All right, we're live.
Hello.
Ladies,
Hey,
how we doing?
Good.
We're good.
I'm the only one in a Santa hat. I feel like it's that
You look amazing and festive.
Well, I'm worried now because it's like the Mean Girls, where she shows up in the bunny costume and nobody's in costume, so that's cool.
I love it.
It is what it is, guys.
No, it's funny.
I'm super festive. The holidays are here, and so much to be grateful for this season.
Of course. Indeed.
Oh man, that's funny. No, I love the Santa, and I was telling Mariana earlier today that I went to Walmart to try to find a Santa hat, and I literally was devastated that there wasn't a Santa hat. I mean, like if you anywhere in the world you thought was going to be a Santa hat, it'd be freaking Walmart.
Yeah, for sure.
Like how does that not happen?
I would have mailed one to you. I have 2 of them.
I'm still waiting for you to bring my coffee.
I sent you a gift from Starbucks. Yeah. I'm kidding.
No, everybody's joining us. So I'm going to ask a favor for all of the wonderful people at home, and that is if you would share the broadcast on your favorite social media device or service or whatever you want to call it, because I'm an idiot.
I shared it.
Please do that. We genuinely appreciate it. I think we actually have some. We do. So anyway, ladies, how we doing? Everybody's good?
We're good.
Yeah, no complaints.
I had to bring out the seasonal specialty.
I love that. And I haven't actually had any. I tried to mail some to my brother, but I couldn't.
This is funny. So when I was a kid, I loved eggnog. It was like, I don't even know why, just because I'm weird probably. But neither one of you is from South Florida. Jessica, did you have farm stores in Georgia?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Mariana, you don't know this because there are not really many of them around anymore. But when I was little, way back many years before you were born, many years before you were born, they had this store called Farm Stores, which was like a farmer's co-op. In South Florida, right? Mark, this is why we're friends, brother. I think that's a great idea. Merry Christmas to you, by the way, Mark. So it was a local dairy co-op, right? And it was like a stand. At least the ones that we had in South Florida, it was like a stand that you drove up to, and a guy would come out to your car, and you would tell him what you wanted, and they would bring you, milk and eggs and all kinds of dairy products and beverages and adult and otherwise. And so my favorite thing about Christmas every year was, I feel like I'm off-centered, was getting farm store eggnog, which of course was unleaded. This is the leaded version.
I bought almond nog this year.
Okay. I've made it. I've made it with cashews too. So yeah, I'm all about that dairy-free life. I hear you.
Me too.
I'm trying to decide where that ranks on the hard kombucha scale.
Okay, shut up. It was really bad. And I'm drinking wine. I'm trying to redeem myself.
Eddie, come on, man. You're thinking the same thing I'm thinking.
Yeah, so I have to be completely transparent. It was actually not very good. I really wanted to like it.
Yeah.
I drink almond milk, and I'm all about milk alternatives, but it was just not. It's not the same consistency one. And
no,
it didn't taste anything like it. So it was. I definitely don't recommend it.
This is why we do the show. Everybody's getting their money's worth. So cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
So hopefully everybody at home notices that I'm not wearing my famous hat. That has been temporarily retired. Wow, I really need to fix this chair setup. This is bugging me. So at least for tonight, we may have a discussion, or I might take a Twitter poll and see if we bring the hat back or not. I'm looking at Jessica's face, and
Leave that man
oh,
out
geez.
of
Maybe
this
it's time to
Christmas
get a
spirit.
hat that says 46.
Is this a 2-0? Like, am I 2-0 on this one?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I mean, this is your show. You do what you want. We're just going to give you side eye the entire time if you put it on.
That's true.
Yeah, because that's different. I mean, that has never happened ever. All right. Fine. I guess the hat. So then, okay. So now what? So are we? I guess now I need to know is if I am, like, do I have to give it to Goodwill? Like what are we doing with the hat?
Burn
Did I hear burn it? Is that
it. We don't need that bad juju in 2020.
No.
No.
the sad. Hey man, appreciate you joining us. Actually, appreciate it every week.
Oh,
Eddie, come on, bro.
thanks, Eddie. I appreciate that.
Kevin,
See,
come on, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not being sassy. I'm just speaking the truth that the people would agree. We don't need that bad juju next year. New year, new hat.
The bad thing is that if I burn the hat, then Kevin could just deliver a new one to me because he's a pilot for UPS, so he could just fly a new one to me.
Maybe he can get you a Santa hat.
That was
There
really
you
lame,
go.
wasn't it? Actually, Kevin, you should bring me a Santa hat. I think that's a good idea. Get in your 747 and fly up to Tallahassee and bring me a Santa hat. All right, so we promised the folks at home we're going to do something a little different. Now we have an entire house full of people, by the way, so this could be really fun. Kev, come on, man. There's enough runway. You can make it. I promise. So Christmas. Well, holiday. I'm sorry. I keep saying Christmas. I legit, we're going to make this a holiday thing. I'm down with God's chosen people. And so, yeah, we are. I always tell people that when I was in elementary school, I attended, Mariana, you know the school. I attended American Heritage School in Broward County, which I was literally the only Gentile in the entire school. And so I attended more bar and bat mitzvahs and events and dreidel. I know the dreidel. I know the song. I know what the little numbers they mean. So I'm down with God's chosen people.
Yes.
So happy Hanukkah to all of them.
Love you.
Merry Christmas to you ladies. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to talk about what your favorite thing about Christmas is. Like, and we're not going to get to memories or favorite stories, but let's start with Jessica. I'm going to start with you. Like, what's your favorite thing about Christmas in general besides boiled peanuts?
Oh, baking.
Okay.
I like the smells and the aromatics of all the baking that you
What do you bake?
Gingerbread, Pfeffernusse, Lebkuchen, a lot of German cookies. And then like sugar cookies for the kids and stuff to decorate.
Yeah, but we have folks watching from Indiana, so you may have to translate to German.
Ah, wirklich. It's just, lots of gingerbreads. They're all different. All German cookies are gingerbreads, different types of gingerbread. So
Okay.
that's what I do. That's what I'm not that exciting. I'm a Hanukkah person. I make latkes. I play dreidel.
Okay.
I love decorating. It's fun. It's festive. I like some lights.
I see 2 trees in the background, one for each of you.
Yeah. Glühwein,
Kevin.
yeah, boy.
Kevin, you got to stop posting pictures of going to Germany, man. It's kind of annoying me. I'm just telling you. I'm kind of like, you got to fly me over there in your 747.
Take us with you, all of us.
Mariana, what's your favorite thing about Christmas?
I would have to say just the decorations and the tradition and everything kind of around it. Just the season is just really fun and festive, obviously. I'm in a Santa hat for this segment, and then when we move on, I'm going to abandon the Santa hat.
I may just drag this segment out just for that reason.
No, I really love the festivities and all that. And really, let's just be real, the Hallmark movies.
I've never seen one.
Oh.
I was watching one before tonight's broadcast, and I was like, "Oh, is it really 8 o'clock? Do I have time?"
You know what we should do is we should talk about your favorite Hallmark movie.
I don't have a favorite. They're all my favorite. That's like asking a mother to pick her favorite child when she has 7. They're all her favorite.
I kind of like, I don't know if I'm amused or horrified.
That I love Hallmark movies, or that you've also seen a lot of Hallmark movies?
I have never seen a Hallmark movie in my life.
Oh my gosh, I've never felt. Wow, I feel very.
They're really popular, though. I know a lot of people really enjoy
They're
them. So you're not alone. You're not alone.
They are fantastic. They are just a very like mindless thing, and they give you so much hope.
Do people just fall in love the whole time?
The entire movie is just people like falling in love and having like.
What's not to like about
The
that?
ending's always happy, which
Yeah.
given like these extraordinary times, it's really
You need
nice
that.
to see that. Yeah, and so it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's not nice.
Oh man, the struggle. I mean, we could talk about Lifetime, but we know how
I can go there.
someone ends up in jail and dead.
I like the Lifetime movies, yeah.
Listen, you know why? You know what the best part about Hallmark and Lifetime movies is that it keeps people getting residual checks for years. And years.
Yes.
Could be you've forgotten about from 20 years ago who suddenly were, see, y'all lost Mark. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that.
I didn't realize there was like such. I didn't realize it was such a polarized. Like we're like no politics. Okay, cool. Hallmark, nope.
I know.
Can't wait.
I'm tempted to grab the hat and put the hat on.
Cool. Sounds fun.
No, I think my favorite thing about Christmas is the family stuff, and my family is relatively complicated, and we're not going to discuss that tonight. Both of you know the story. Folks at home don't need to know the stories, and so this is when I get to hang with my parents, and now it's the 5 of us, and and I think over the years, and we'll start telling stories here in a second, but over the years, Christmas has become just family time and actual quality time and just hanging out. So, and just everybody's off, and you don't have to do anything. You can watch Hallmark movies and whatever. I guess.
Who knew? I
will watch some now just for you.
I definitely recommend it. It's just a very nice, wholesome way to like just enjoy some happiness. It's just a very happy thing.
There's also a lot of soccer games on. There's a lot of soccer games on during Christmas too. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
So okay, so let's do this, and as we kind of roll through this, favorite Christmas memory. Let's do that. Let's do favorite Christmas memory, and I may go first on this one because I think I may have 2 if I can tell both of them, and I'm not sure if I can get through both of them. Because the people at home will be surprised to know I'm kind of a softie. You 2 know that, but the people at home would be like, "What? That asshole? What?" I may need more. I need a little more eggnog to tell these stories.
Here we go.
So my first one is my paternal grandmother, my momo, I called her, which Jessica will appreciate. It's a very southern term for your grandmother, who passed away actually when I was 11. So we, Mark, you got to stop texting me during the show, dude. So she, trying to think of a good way to tell the story. So my momo basically had a 5th grade education, which I verified. I've actually seen the census records and her marriage license, and essentially was a sharecropper in Alabama, for lack of a better term, and raised 8 kids. And the stories that I've heard and been told are that, she basically had the cotton sack, and, one sack was for the cotton and the other sack was for a couple toddlers, basically. So probably the hardest working person I've ever known in my entire life. And she, my grandfather, her husband, passed away when I was 6 months old. So I knew her my whole life as a widow. And so she was a hotel maid, basically made minimum wage as I was growing up. And her tradition And there's a chance that one or two of my cousins are watching this, so they'll appreciate it. Her tradition every year was she would have a service merchandise catalog at her house. So for people who don't know service merchandise, I don't remember if it was a national chain or if it was just a Florida thing, but it basically was a catalog store. So you would have, they would put out these big catalogs like every month or every quarter, and then you would bring your order into the store, and a guy would go back and bring you the order. It would come out on a conveyor belt. And so she would have a service merchandise catalog in her house. And so when you would go to her house, each grandchild, and for the life of me, I don't know how many grandchildren she had, which is probably a story for another episode, actually. But each grandchild was allowed to go through the service merchandise catalog and circle a toy. And that's what you would get for Christmas. And, all of us were pretty much, warned, and I keep saying, kind of caution. Look, Mama didn't have a lot of money, don't circle the $100 Millennium Falcon playset. Because for one, she'd probably buy it for you, because that's how she was. And she would also do, remember the Christmas Club now, because I'm much older than both of you. But when I was a kid, they had Christmas Club, which was like a savings account at the bank. And you would put in, $10-20 a month or whatever into the account for Christmas. And she did that every year. And that's how she had enough money to buy her grandkids Christmas presents. And so literally every single year I think about that. And I think about what a big deal that was for her to do that. And that was the center of her world, was working her ass off cleaning shitty hotel rooms all year, just so she could buy Christmas presents for her grandkids. So, cheers, Mama.
Yay, Mama.
That's awesome.
Okay, Jessica, it's your turn.
I don't know. I didn't really celebrate Christmas. So I don't have that.
That could be your first time you celebrated Christmas. Maybe it's a favorite story.
Oh, no.
I feel like that's a discussion for another episode.
Maybe.
We should do like Jessica's therapy session, like the next episode.
It'll be long. It'll be really long. I don't know. My favorite memories are being in Germany and going to the Christmas markets.
Mhm.
You go like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, that kind of thing. That was really nice. That's all I have. I don't have a mama story about Christmas. I'm really sorry.
It's all right.
That's what I've got.
Yeah, so tell the people at home, Germans celebrate Christmas pretty hardcore. I mean, Germans do everything pretty hardcore.
Some things too.
Yeah. War and yeah. So
they're really into it, where they have markets and you get sausage and you drink mulled wine and eat gingerbread and spiced nuts. And in Nuremberg, there's this giant Christmas tree that has the Christkind in it, which is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed 16-year-old girl. I think they put a wig on her now, but before you had to be, and everybody gathers around the town, and the Christkind says Bible verses and things like that, and tells the story of Christmas, which is actually really nice. But it's just a medieval setting, and it's just festive and warm, and everybody's happy, and it's good stuff.
Yeah, I think people at home are thinking that you and I are actually married, so I probably should explain that I am ethnically German. You can ignore the last name for reasons that some of you know and some of you don't know, but I am 100% ethnically German, and I actually took German in high school.
Nice.
For 3 years, so from a actual German national. So hence why I'm acting like I'm familiar with everything you're saying, because, well, that's why.
That's good. Hey.
That, and I'm super smart. That's probably the other reason why.
That's it.
All right, Mariana, you're up. Your favorite Christmas story.
Oh gosh. Favorite Christmas story. I mean, I think it's just all the traditions surrounding Christmas. So my parents were divorced when I was really young, which is whatever. And they never lived in the same state. I'm not sure if that was by design or what, but I would always shuttle between during the holidays. And I always enjoyed going. I used to go through Atlanta Airport a lot, and I loved going through the airport during Christmas because it was always just like decked out in like Christmas attire and all these like festive decorations and stuff. But I would say one Christmas I was with my mom, and leading into Christmas, so my favorite band, which to this day is still my favorite band, is Oasis. I've now dated myself because they are no longer a band. They have since split, but they were coming to DC area, and I grew up outside Richmond, and they were coming to play, a concert, and I really wanted to go to this concert, and I begged my mom for months to get me tickets to go see them in January, and she's like, "You're not going. Like, you're definitely not going. Like, there's no way." I don't even know how old I was at the time. I was maybe like 15 or 16. She's like, "You're not going." And so I just kind of forgot about it. And I was just like, well, this sucks, but here we are. And then on Christmas morning, she had wrapped up binoculars, and it was just like kind of like a really weird gift, but I was just, roll with it because it's Christmas. And then the next gift that I opened were 2 tickets to the concert. And my mother, by, just as gracious as she was, she got tickets, which I know were definitely not cheap, to take me to this concert. And she drove me and a friend. She drove us they were playing at George Mason University, drove us up there, hung out wherever she hung out while we were at this concert. And it was just so amazing. And to this day, I still think back to that Christmas of like getting those tickets and like how just floored I was. And I was so excited to be able to go see my favorite band play. And it was like the first concert I ever went to. And it was just really awesome. So
that's really sweet. That's
Sweet. Yeah.
That's a good story.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was just so cool to be like, I had been told for months that I was not going to this concert, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, and I mean, I was super sour about it. So if you can imagine, not only are you telling your teenage daughter, like, no, you can't go see your favorite band, but then you have to put up with a teenage daughter attitude on top of all of that. So
like, I'm trying to imagine you with an attitude, and it's not working for me.
Well, that's nice and kind of you, but I can assure you there was definitely
all girls have attitude at a certain age. Like it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
I'm the father of a teenage boy, and I'm just telling you, it's not just girls.
You should be very grateful that you have a teenage boy and not a teenage daughter.
Yeah.
I would not wish a teenage daughter on anyone.
I am going to get myself in trouble by saying I am delighted to have a boy and not a girl.
I will tell you, the one thing that is the most terrifying thing to see out in the world is a group of teenage girls together. Yes. I thoroughly believe that if we sent a group of teenage girls to the Middle East, we could have all of our problems solved, because they would be so terrified of them. They'd be like, fine, whatever. And then for the cleanup, you send in the moms of the teenage girls, because they will then get everything sorted out.
Yeah.
I really believe that is the key to diplomacy in the Middle East.
See, I mean, the people who aren't watching us right now, like, have no idea what they're missing.
Yeah.
We just solved world peace and on this planet, and like nobody knows it.
Jessica knows how terrifying teenage girls are in a gaggle.
It's bad.
If I see one person, I'll turn around and go the other way. Not doing
Listen,
it.
In fairness, a gaggle of teenage girls is terrifying to teenage boys.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's for the same reason.
It's not.
They're terrifying. They can do a lot of damage.
Yes.
Oh my. All right. So I think I'm going to tell the other story. I've kind of been getting a little bit of liquid courage, so I may need a little more liquid courage.
Mark agrees. Teenage girls in a gaggle, dangerous.
Yeah. So when I was, let's see, how old was I? I was in 7th grade. So we moved from Florida to Indiana in 7th grade. Kind of all of a sudden. So I left. Sorry, folks, I just kicked the desk. Left my friends, school, family, my granny, all that kind of stuff. And moved to a place I never heard of in my entire life called Anderson, Indiana. Oh, man. It's at Mark Warner on Twitter.
It's not. No, it's not the same thing.
If you've ever been to the women's bathroom, that is a place of unity and love.
This is true.
Okay. Now you've totally thrown my story off.
I'm sorry.
We have to ask the question that's on the mind of every guy who is watching this show. All two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And their question is, and this is totally a Christmas story somehow. We're going to work it into a Christmas thing. Why is it y'all can't go to the bathroom by yourself?
It's fun. We talk shit in the bathroom. We need to
Oh, my bad.
powder up.
Yeah.
Talk.
You need reinforcement.
We got, it's like a think tank in there. And
It
it's
is. Sometimes you need to hatch an escape plan.
There's always a girl crying in the bathroom. Yeah, you gotta come up with an excuse.
Yes.
That's right.
And to Jessica's point, sometimes there is a girl crying in the bathroom.
And you rally
Yep.
behind her.
Oh yeah. You give her a pep talk like she's never
Yes.
heard.
You can
You
share
Tony
it.
Robbins that girl, and then you send her
Yeah.
back out into the world.
It's a beautiful.
We are solving so many problems on here tonight, and I'm sad for the 7 billion people who are not watching this show.
the world. Yeah.
They have no idea what they're missing. Like the two biggest issues facing planet Earth, we've just fixed both of them.
And within 30 minutes, yeah.
I mean, and they're not even paying for this. Like, what the hell? This is free. We gave this away for free. Like, for real. So, am I still telling the story? I don't know if I feel like telling the story anymore.
You don't want to tell the story.
How much eggnog can you drink without throwing up?
This is like 20 proof. I could drink a case of this stuff.
I'm just saying that, like the nogginess.
Yeah, no, I'm like
I can have a glass.
yeah, I was gonna say like a glass, and I'm like, oh, this is good for another beer.
Yeah,
This
you
is
gotta
the
water it
backup.
down.
Yeah.
Why did when I have water, you're like, why are you drinking water, Jess? And pussy. And then, you bring up water, and it's like, this is my backup.
Sean, the crazy thing about it is Tony can actually see over the stall doors too.
That's
So
all. Yeah.
it's like super creepy. That dude makes me
Tony
look short.
Robbins wishes he has the wisdom that was within a woman's room. He does.
He probably sits in the bathroom and writes everything down that you guys are talking about.
Maybe.
Maybe that's why he's so successful with all of
Yeah.
his books and seminars. But
Hey.
I promise you that at a conference of his, I can guarantee you that there is a gaggle of women in the bathroom together.
On a totally side note, there is a Tony Robbins documentary on Netflix.
Yes, I'm not your guru.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yes, I watched it. It is.
It is absolutely fascinating. And I sort of kind of like Tony Robbins. I find him to be very interesting.
I kind of like him. I don't necessarily.
Yeah, I find him to be very interesting. Yeah.
It
Pushes
doesn't
back,
paint
but
him in
pushes
a bad light.
No.
Documentary.
Yeah, it's utterly fascinating. It literally takes people through the entire weekend and the process. And I actually was kind of surprised. I was like, dude, I ain't paying 10 grand to come to your shit. I just watched a damn documentary.
So one of my girlfriends is going through his business mastery program, and she was here, which is odd because she lives in Hawaii, which is where I know her from when I lived out there. And she posted a photo that was right across the street from my house, and I was like, that's weird. And I messaged her, and we wound up like meeting up for coffee, and then we went to a yoga class together. Then we met up with somebody else, and we had lunch, and it was just a delightful afternoon. It was like one of my favorite like days before the world shut down.
That's Tony Robbins' way.
It's true confession time. When I was 19 or 20 years old, I actually owned a set of Personal Power CDs. Sorry, I just let that out. This is what you guys get.
No judgment.
I did.
What happened to you?
I mean, look where I am now. So clearly it worked.
Okay.
I mean, if my life isn't a testimony, I don't know.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I'm trying so hard to bring the optimism, Jacob.
I love it. I love it.
Was I straight enough when I delivered that line? Did it work? Woo-wee. All right, that's actually a good segue to the next point. So, as if I had a point or I planned this out or something. So one of the things I actually did want to talk about is I kind of think that there should be a theme to a year, right? Like I think this isn't like a self-help thing or like I'm like some kind of yoga guru master or some kind of nonsense, but I do think that this time of year you sort of look back and you think, okay, what did this year mean for me? Like what did it do for me? So I'm curious for you two, what has this year, like when you look back at 2020, beyond just I can't leave the house and my friends can't come over or whatever, and Jessica, you can't have your wine and cookie parties, but like what?
Those?
You don't?
Oh, I don't have friends here. Are you kidding me?
Jessica's like, no, here are my friends. Here.
He's like, I don't have any friends. That's why I'm on this show, because I don't have any friends.
I have friends, just not in this town. Okay.
I'm on the show to make friends. No, so for you, Jessica, what is 2020 going to mean to you? What have you learned? What is different about you? Okay.
Because I'm at home with all these kids all day long.
How many kids are there, Jessica?
Like 17. She's Mormon.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No. I mean, I love kids. I'll have a million, but I have.
They're when our Mormon audience.
I know. There was that really good article about Mormonism.
That was a great article, actually. Yeah, it was.
Let's see. No, I guess patience. I've had to just like take a breath.
Yeah.
Because everything is frustrating. You can't go where you want to go. You can't travel. You can't see whom you want to see. So just being patient and also just kind of like taking a better assessment of my health. Trying to stay healthy, because I know it's like the dweeby thing to have done during this pandemic, but like if I can help boost my health and make me less susceptible to bad things, then that's a good thing. So I've been eating
does hard kombucha help with that?
It did not help with anything. Let me tell you, I can tell you what. So I guess that's 2020 is just patience and understanding. And I think that, you can see a lot of people having really difficult times and trying to understand where they're coming from and understand their point of view. Because we could be like, shut it down, we need to control the virus. And then, on the other hand, there are these businesses that are suffering and people are suffering. And so it's just, having a sense of understanding, because the world isn't Twitter and everyone's not at each other's throats, and just trying to be kind and courteous and conscientious of everything that people are going through. That's my theme.
Oh, Mark.
I did in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The booze guy was coming to the house a lot. And,
right. Just for the folks at home who don't know, DoorDash will bring you alcohol.
Will it? In every state?
I mean, I don't live in every state, but they do in my state.
Well, actually, they do a lot of things here in Florida that they're not doing everywhere else in the country.
That's kind of why Florida's awesome.
We're going to leave that unsaid. They actually, in Florida, they will bring you alcohol from Costco, even if you are not a member.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah,
they have some kind of arrangement with Costco where they will bring you items from Costco, even if you are not a member. Just, again, y'all ain't paying for the show. Like, I don't, this is like the best value, like, on planet Earth. Like, dude, for real.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I
wonder how much of that shit comes on UPS.
The other day, and I got a margarita to go. So I'm just in my car, open container with a margarita. And I was like, this is scary. This is a beautiful thing that I can just patronize a restaurant and get a picture of margarita. It's nice.
That's been a big thing here. We haven't done it, but that's actually been kind of a big thing here. And a lot of local restaurants have come up with basically takeout, cocktail menus. which I think is pretty cool. I mean, capitalism is kind of cool at times.
It's really cool.
All right, Mariana, what's 2020 meant to you?
Well, I would have to echo Jessica's sentiments on patience, because we kicked off the lockdown with my brother-in-law living with us.
I wasn't sure if you were going to tell that story. I was just going to let you go.
We'll just leave that there. It was
okay.
He was with us for the beginning of the lockdown, and
yes.
Look, I married into a fantastic family, and I love my in-laws. I hit the jackpot with like my brother-in-laws and my sister-in-law. I'm very grateful. Being locked down with your in-laws and your husband, and you've only been married for like, I mean, going into 2 years.
Right.
It's patience, huge, so huge. Also just compassion, I would say, and recognizing the things that we have, even the mini things that others might not. And that really, I think, put a lot of things into perspective, and just so much gratitude. I mean, Jacob, as you know, I lead with gratitude in my life. You know, I start every day and end every day with gratitude. And it just really was amplified this year, and just trying to stay safe and healthy. Poor Jacob, every time he calls me, I feel like all I'm doing is like, oh, I'm eating. And he's like, it's like 4 o'clock.
Usually you're going to Starbucks. That's actually the big thing you're doing, is you're going to
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Yes, I'm going to Starbucks, or I'm eating, because usually you're catching me like after my workout, which is really kind of funny. There was like an entire like period where every time you called, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, eating lunch. He's like, it's 4 o'clock. I'm like,
lunch too. Second lunch.
Right. So I would say that really just amplified that, and recognizing that I think that it takes a lot of self-awareness to be able to identify like everything that you have and that you're blessed with, and then being able to recognize that that might not be the norm for others, and then have compassion to try and help other people. And so that's something that my husband and I have really like doubled down on during this time, is trying to reach out to our community and help, and, you know, just give compassion to those that are suffering. And I think that that's been something really big, is try to, you know, help others. And, you know, heading into the new year, I look forward to doing that as well.
I'm going to confess to the audience that I felt guilty after I wrote your introduction today, and then I was like,
Mine?
Yeah, and I meant to add the whole gratitude thing, because it's.
Oh, I thought it was. I was like, he's lying through half of this. This is fantastic. No, I'm kidding. No, it was. I thought it was very thoughtful and very poignant. I really appreciate. Like, it was really nice to see that.
No, it was cool, and it was fun to, you know, think about introducing you. So you've been on the show before, and it was fun, and hopefully we'll do this again more often. But it was fun to introduce you to the audience, to, you know, as somebody who means a lot to me. And, you know, now that we've worked with both of you, I'm running out of people I like. So now I don't know how the hell we're going to do the rest of the year or next year, because I've pretty much done all the people I like. So it'd be awkward. No, all seriousness. So for me, I feel kind of weird because I've told both of you this. So I guess I'm sharing this with the audience. So I think for me, you know, in January of this year was a real sort of I know my birthday's in January. And so every year my birthday is kind of like a reckoning, and, you know, why was my year last year good? Why was my year bad? Kind of a deal. And so this year in January, you know, last year was a challenging year for me for a lot of different reasons, you know, and I walked away from, you know, Jessica, I know you can appreciate this, but for Mariana, you know, when you do what we do for a living, or what we used to do, or what I used to do, or whatever, I don't know if you're retired or not, but I am. The pinnacle is working on a presidential campaign and being on a platform, and, you know, sort of the high stakes, and everybody watched The West Wing and all that kind of fun stuff. And I was talking to Stuart Stevens one day it was probably like September, just like talking through some stuff. And he started laughing. He goes, dude, he says dude, by the way, and Stu's like 70 years old. Stu goes, dude, you know, you're the only person in history to ever turn down 2 presidential campaigns in the same cycle. And I was like, is that really a compliment though? Like, is that a like, you know, he goes, you could be like a Wikipedia entry. And I go, I'm probably going to be a Wikipedia entry for other reasons besides that. But really, like when you sit down and think about, okay, last year was weird. I had a chance to run 2 different presidential campaigns. I don't say that to brag. It might have just been I was the only one who was available, quite honestly. But this January was kind of like, oh shit, like I really need to kind of take stock of my life and figure out what's going on and what I don't like. And there were a lot of things I didn't like, quite honestly. And so what I decided was, look, what I'm doing or have been doing to this point is obviously not working. Like pretty much everything. So let me kind of do the opposite. And so I think both of you know this. Mariana, you know this better than Jessica because you've known me longer. I am, like, if you Google introvert, like my picture pops up. You know, it's kind of a lame joke, but I am pretty much the very definition of an introvert. I don't like people. Sorry, I don't like any of y'all. Like I could do without, you know, I could move to a cabin in Montana and be perfectly fine. And I also don't like to be on a platform. I don't like people noticing me. Part of it's because of my size. I can't hide. Like I never was very good at hide and go seek. I'm always the guy, you know, campaigns and stuff. You know, I was always the guy standing in the very back of the room, you know, that kind of stuff. And so for me, thanks, Kev. I appreciate that, brother. It's just more room for you, right? Thanks, brother. And so for me, it was kind of like, okay, I need to put myself on a platform more. Like I never was quoted in the media before, very, very, very rarely if I could avoid it, unless I was taking the heat for a campaign or something. Like there was a reason why I was in, you know, saying one of the campaign tricks that Mariana knows well is sometimes there's crazy shit you don't want the candidate to say. So staff says it. And so if you see me quoted prior to this year, it's probably one of those instances where I'm just forced to say something because I don't want my guy to take a bullet. And so I, you know, and I wasn't writing enough and I wasn't, you know, I had some business opportunities and business ideas, but everything was on my own. And so I changed everything the opposite. You know, I started doing media appearances and I started getting quoted, you know, in newspapers, and I started doing TV appearances, you know, which is totally weird for me. And then, you know, one day I send Jessica a text and I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to write a newsletter. Okay. You know, it was just kind of one of those deals where I felt like I needed to do it because my entire career as a professional writer, it's always been under somebody else's byline. You know, it's always been under somebody else's name or it's unattributed or something along those lines. And so I felt like I needed to change all that up. And so what has happened is by the end of this year, we've got a pretty cool thing going with the newsletter. I'm absolutely blown away that we're up to 2,000 or so subscribers, which I find to be utterly ridiculous. You know, one day I decided out of the blue, hey, we should do freaking video. You know, why? Because it's incredibly uncomfortable for me, actually, which everybody at home knows because you've watched me on these shows. But I'm doing it because it challenges me. It takes me out of my comfort zone. It makes me do things I don't like to do because obviously what I like to do hasn't been working. Taught myself how to meditate. You know, I've read, you know, different books that I wouldn't have read even a year ago. And I feel like, I hope at least that I've thought more deeply about things. And I've made much more of an effort to connect with people. And, you know, even, and hopefully the two of you can attest to this, even if it's just, I send you a text saying, hey, you know, thought about you. Hey, how are you? Whatever. That's not natural for me. I'm the guy who, you know, and Mariana, you know this very well. You could go 6 months without hearing from me. And for me, that's normal, but I realize for the rest of the world, that's probably not very normal. So I challenge myself, you know, I send notes to people, you know, I call people. And so I think for me, 2020, I don't mind saying this publicly. It's been the worst year for me income wise, probably of my entire adult life. But it probably had the most growth and the most opportunities. And honestly, 2021 is probably going to be the best year I've ever had. And for reasons that I can't announce yet on the show, but I will, that I'm extremely excited about. I think it is, and I'm not going to say there's a direct connection between the two, but maybe there is. So for me, 2020 is about pushing myself and challenging myself and saying things to people that I wouldn't have said before, and maybe expressing things that I wouldn't have said before. And, I'm not entirely unhappy with the results.
I think you're doing a great job.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's fantastic.
I do too.
If you need book recommendations, let me know. I've got some great ones.
You need what? Book? Oh, yeah. Well, do we not share that? I mean, I'm actually looking at so I have like a stack of books. I'm not going to pick up the camera because I'll probably drop it and break it. But I have like a stack next to my desk of sort of my next in line books. And it's pretty interesting stuff. Actually, I'll grab a couple of them. Let's see. One day I'm going to figure out how to do the backwards camera thing.
That's me trying to read.
Thomas, if you folks aren't familiar with Thomas Morris, he's actually an excellent writer. Does a lot of like philosophy type stuff. I've actually read half of this before, and so I ended up just buying it.
One of my favorites. I love August. Yes.
Her translation is amazing. I'm actually a big Sarah Rudin fan. And her translation, she comes at it from a cultural perspective and not more of a context type thing, which I find to be just it's totally different than everything else. This one's kind of funny. I actually just bought this. I own all these books, but I'm such an asshole that I actually bought.
Oh, Marcus Aurelius, yeah.
I bought a book that had all of them in it.
Nice.
Because I'm just kind of weird like that.
I love the Stoics. Yeah.
I don't know why I do that.
I like that you're holding physical books.
I do too. Thank
because
you.
I cannot do an e-reader. I bought a Kindle and gave it to my mother-in-law because I'm like, this
I need
is
to
stupid.
spell the books.
I want to turn the page and I want to crack the spine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
This actually has probably changed my thought process on a lot of issues than maybe anything I've read in a lot of years. Rudin basically goes back and takes all of Paul's writings, and she's a Christian, by the way, so this isn't one of those atheists writing about the apostles kind of nonsense. But Aaron, are you talking about Sarah's book? She comes at it from a cultural perspective. So she explains things more of, here's the time that he was writing this in. So like things like homosexuality, for example, Sean is one of the deepest thinkers I know when it comes to theology. So if he's telling you what I would tell you, Aaron, what I would tell you is I probably provided me a very different explanation on things as somebody who grew up in the church and won all the attendance awards for for Sunday school and all that kind of stuff, and is the son of a youth pastor, probably changed my thought process about what he actually was trying to say more. And again, she's a Christian, and actually you can look at the blurbs on the back. One of them is Rod Dreher, another one from Christianity Today. Like, this isn't one of those piss on Christians books, which is, that gets dunked on. It's actually like probably reaffirms a lot of things that maybe you had thought. So anyway, y'all were talking about the e-reader stuff. So yeah, I do both. So I have a Kindle.
Okay.
How do you
love it. I've had a Kindle for several years. It was a Father's Day gift a couple years ago. It's probably one of my favorite gifts ever.
That's cool.
But the Kindle is primarily for me novels and library books. I get library books on the Kindle.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I know you can download.
Yeah, exactly. So books that I know I'm going to read multiple times, and I'm gonna want to outline and make notes in and do things and whatever. I buy physical copies of. Right. So like I don't have many. I mean, I'm looking at Now, granted, 90% of my books are actually in storage, which we're not going to talk about tonight because I'll start crying. But I own very few novels unless there's some kind of personal significance or something along those lines. Most of the books that I own are nonfiction because, again, it's just stuff that I know I'm going to go back and read and reread and whatever. So I have no idea how we started talking about books, but that was kind of fun.
I love talking about books.
I love books.
We should just do a book episode at some point.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I am like a voracious reader. I buy like
I know you
my poor husband is like, can you stop buying books? And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't need that.
When I started doing the newsletter, and I actually just finished this not too long ago, so I'm going to share it, even though it's not a to read. But for the folks at home, if you are a writer in any sense of the word and you don't read this book, you're an idiot. You're actually not really a writer. Because what he does is basically take his entire methodology and lay it out. And for a guy who's been writing the same series for 50 years, it's quite extraordinary and intensive and thoughtful, whatever. But we gotta schedule. We'll talk about this off air. We got to schedule a book edition.
Yes.
So, was there a reason why I started talking about books, or was it just me babbling and being an asshole? Yeah, we're the same page, dude.
Yeah, I like to turn the page.
I do too.
There's something satisfying about cracking the spine and like turning the page and then putting it on your bookshelf where you can see it and touch it. Like, I love it. There's such a sense of pride. I always tell, like, one of the first things I told my husband when we were dating was that the American dream for me was having a library, which is probably why I identify so well with Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Like, when he did for the library, I'm like, yes, like that's my dream. I want a library. Like, so yeah. A lot of books in the house. My poor husband had to buy a staple gun last week because one of our bookshelves was doing this Leaning Tower of Pisa thing. And he's like, that's going to come down one day and it's going to hurt you. And I'm like, it's just don't touch it. It's fine.
It's fine.
So I had to staple the back to make sure it was sturdy enough.
Yeah.
No, some people are heathens and will leave the book for other people. I can't do that. I just take it with me. I'm like, oh, this is going to finish this. And then I like pack it and go.
The worst is when I have a book and I'm like, you need to read this because this has moved me.
Yes.
I'm going to let you borrow with this. And we know each other, so I know I'm going to get it back.
Okay.
It never comes back.
Nope.
Jessica, what's your favorite book that you've ever gifted people?
That's a good question.
I've gifted Flannery O'Connor. A Good Man is Hard to Find. I've gifted Franz Kafka's The Trial. I've gifted, what else? Some Steinbeck. Just a lot of just random things. I'll give them away. Not give them away. But, I always
because you're so invested, like you love it so much and you want to share that with somebody. You're like, you're gonna love it. And they're like, thanks.
I know.
And then you don't get it back. Yeah, no, I get that. Like I will say there's only like a few books that I would say have changed my life that I've been like, wow. And then I share it with people and they're like, thanks. And I'm like, So I think it's just I'm super nerdy and I'm coming to realize that I read a lot more than like the average person. And that's okay. Like that's totally fine. It is what it is. But I just get very excited about books.
I do too. Big time.
What's your favorite book to gift?
It really depends on the person. I like to think of like this is like really weird. We're here. We're just going to go for it. I consider myself like a book whisperer. Like if I'm talking to somebody and they're saying like whatever they're going through or something happens and then I like think about a book and I'm like, this book, I think this will speak to you.
Yeah.
So usually one of the books that are like on the top, like the short pull list, right, is The Shack by William Young. They made a movie, which read the book before we see the movie. That if you've not read The Shack, it's actually along the lines of the theology It's about a guy. I won't do any spoilers, but it's about this guy who goes camping with his children, and the littlest one winds up getting kidnapped and murdered. It's awful. I literally, a friend of mine told me, he's like, read this book, it will change your life. And I'm like, I got to the part where the little girl is killed, and I texted him, I said, I can't do this. Like, this is too much. And I don't even have children. So the fact that I'm even like pumping the brakes on this, and he said, just trust me, get through that part, it'll be fine. I'm like, okay. And he goes into what he describes as the great sadness. And he spends like 5 years living in like this great sadness. And then he gets a letter, and he gets invited back to the shack where they actually found his daughter. And he goes back, and the book is based on the weekend of him in the shack. And it is just like, I have goosebumps even talking about it. It's just such a phenomenal, and it's all about his relationship with God. And it's just so transformative. And it is definitely something that really, for me, when I read it, it underscored and really like kind of brought me back to my faith. And it was just, it was incredible. It was really like life altering. So that's definitely one that I gift to people if we've had conversations and I feel them out like that, they would appreciate it, because I would hate to give the book and someone be like, because it is such an incredible book, and it's such a wonderful story. So that's one of them. And then the other one is The Alchemist, which is just like amazing. So I love that book. And then American history fans, Brad Meltzer's The Lincoln Conspiracy and The Plot to Kill George Washington, two of my favorites.
Yeah.
So yeah, just super nerdy, like span. Please do, Kevin.
I feel like Kevin's trying to make a point though. I'm reading the hidden message behind it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you read the book.
Read it however you want to.
Enjoy it and embrace it. Like whatever your medium is. I mean, I go from like hardcover, like reading the book, to like listening to a book. So it's just not the e-reader. I'm not.
You guys do Audible? Like, is that?
Yes, I do that in Hoopla, the library app,
Mm-hmm.
which is fantastic. There's a lot of really good, like I read I listened to The Circle Maker on there, which is another really good book. Yeah. Just follow me on Goodreads. You'll see everything that I've read.
I love Goodreads.
Are you on Goodreads?
Yeah,
I'm going to have to find you and add you, because
I have a friend now.
I
feel like I just stumbled into the girl's bathroom.
I haven't posted anything on there.
It's okay. I don't either. I just post like my books, like what I'm reading, what I want to read.
Yeah. I can put it on there in a minute, but I'm on there. I love Goodreads. I love it.
I'm going to find you just right now. Okay. Jacob, get on to Goodreads, man.
I used to have Goodreads, and then I couldn't figure out what the point was, and I deleted it.
No, it's great to
track your books.
You can have your books, and then you can read what other people are reading, see what they're reading.
It's a whole thing.
My favorite, like the reason I laughed during your stories, I let my mom read The Kite Runner one time. I was like,
oh,
it's
no.
good. She wanted to read something. I was in college. And she calls me and leaves a voice message. And she's like, Jessica Deanne, did they rape that boy? It's like, oh my God. No.
That's a conversation you never thought you were going to have with your mom.
That was a tough read. I was like, but it was so
Gaggle is happening, Mark.
Yeah.
It's happening.
It is. That's correct, Mark. We're just here. We're full blown over. Just embrace it. It's fine.
But we're talking about books, so it's good.
Books. Who knew? Jacob, seriously.
Hey, you never know. That's why people should watch. You never know what could happen.
We can talk about
I give out the two. I think I was sitting here thinking as you guys were talking. I think the two that I give out the most, and our special guest is warming up in the bullpen.
I'm excited.
It is a reason why I didn't tell either one of you, so this is going to be kind of fun.
I'm scared.
But I give meditations. I think I have 11 or 12 different versions of it. There's so many translations, and I'm actually looking at my shelf. I've got, like, I made my son read this edition this summer.
Oh, okay. I have
which was really, because there's a lot of notes and a lot of, it's annotated, so it's not in, roughly translated Greek from 1860. This is actually a really good one. I've got like 4 or 5 other versions. And then Jessica knows I'm a big Tim Ferriss fan. Dude, we don't even get royalties for this, which is kind of ridiculous.
No,
We should
somebody was talking about that book on Twitter. I jumped right in shamelessly. Don't you know this person? I'm tagging Brad Meltzer and Josh Mensch. I'm like, that book's fantastic. I did a video book review. I love that book. And I was very
actually, for the record, for the viewers at home, I don't think there's an author out there who engages with their fans more directly than Meltzer does.
Right.
He's fantastic.
By the way, you can email him. I have done it several times. I have emailed him questions and he responds. And you get on his email list, and his email list is like his personal Gmail account, and he responds. It's fantastic.
He is just the nicest. We had him. He came into the studio promoting the plot to kill George Washington, and my producer had gotten it. See, I've had it. I'm excited for you, Kevin. Just find me, message me, tell me what your thoughts are about that. But I can never get Libby, the app for the library thing, to work for me. I just don't think it's.
I can't either.
And I have 2 library cards.
Yeah.
That's how nerdy I am.
I have it. It works for me.
Yeah. Jessica, you can't get it to work for you either?
No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I do that, and I do Ferris. And actually, 4-Hour Work Week is actually one of those books that really changed my, that too. Amazon, which is delivered by UPS. Shout out to the company.
Did you read Rework, Jacob? It's not written by Tim Ferriss, but it's along the similar vein. And I think
know the name. Who wrote it? Do you know?
Rework. It's written by the guys that from 37 Signals that created Basecamp, which is supposed to be like a task manager software, which is awful, and I don't like it, and I don't recommend it because I don't like other people telling me what I need to do with my time. But the book is fantastic.
Okay.
So I recommend you check that one out.
I bought Ferris's book like 10 years ago, and for those of you who read the newsletter, and why the hell are you watching this if you don't read the newsletter? Because it'd be kind of weird. And I think my guest is going to text me and be like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" Ferriss, I bought Ferris's first book. Like, he's written 2 or 3 more, like 10 years ago. And I'm a huge Tim Ferriss fan because Tim Ferriss does things the way I do, which is basically like, why do we do it this way? Is there a way to, reverse engineer this? Is there a way to improve on this? And his podcast is amazing. I do the 5 Bullet Fridays, which I share quite often on Twitter. And so those are the 2 I think that I've given the most. Now, sometimes you give a book to like Rick Wilson and you never get it back. So Rick's got like 5 of my books. So shout out to Rick Wilson. I'd like to have my books back. Anyway, so our guest is warming up in the bullpen. So what we're going to do here, this is going to be kind of a special treat, is I figured, we've told stories and we've shared memories and whatever. So we are going to end the show with some Christmas music.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
I don't know. I hope you can hear me well. This is the first time.
You're good.
No, you sound fantastic.
Yeah, great.
First time I've ever done this setup. It's in the new house. Don't have a studio yet, but so yeah, I'm standing here in front of the tree, and so Jacob asked me, like, texted me like at 5:15. It's like, hey dude.
Yes.
Hey dude.
That is true.
Would you be willing to come on the show tonight and play a couple Christmas songs? I'm like, Christmas songs? I don't play Christmas songs. So, hey, Mark. So I put together very last minute. So if I stumble through these, a couple of tunes. One is actually one of my all-time favorites. At least the rendition is. It's very Advent-y for sure. And then another one is a very non-denominational Christmas song that we could all sing along to because it was easy for me to learn at the last minute. So thank you, Jacob, for the invite. Do I do a shameless plug now? Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah. Dude, you can at least
plug?
do whatever. Listen, man,
Okay.
for the 7 people who are watching, you knock yourself out, bro.
Hold on. For the 7 people who are watching, I see 4 of us here on the screen, so that's only 3 people who are watching. So I actually this
Shameless plug, dude. Do it. Knock yourself out.
So-
Get something out of it.
Yeah, so for like Jacob, this has probably been the least financially successful 2020 year of my life. But it has given me time to spend time in the studio. That's actually one of the reasons the podcast that Marianne has been a guest on, and which is currently on hiatus because, again, no place to record. That podcast was actually born out of the production and the writing of this album that I'm going to be putting out. The first single is coming out January 4th, if everything goes right. So I'm not playing anything from that tonight. I'm only here playing Christmas tunes. And so the first one I'm going to play for you guys and for the 3 other people who are watching, including Mark and Sean. So that's
for the record.
Yeah.
No, for the record, I want everybody to know that you will be coming back on the show to preview the album.
I will. Jacob's having me back on. I'll be on. But tonight I'm playing just a couple of Christmas songs, and again, thank you, Jacob, for having me on. Shameless plug: follow me on Twitter at Josh Gillespie. That's where you'll get most of the information. So the first one is "Come Thou Long Expected Jesus," and it is it's a rendition that is done by a couple of my favorite musicians. It's actually a duet, the version that I'm doing, but I'm doing it solo. And it's on an album. Thanks, bud. It's on an album that apparently is not streamed. So if you can find Your King Has Come, whether you're a religious person or not, is one of the best Christmas albums I have ever heard. And I consider myself a bit of a thank you for fire. Anyway, so this is actually the lead track off of Your King Has Come. And it's a duet between Sandra McCracken and Derek Webb. Can you hear this guitar okay? Come thou long expected Jesus, born to set thy people free from the should have taken the headphones off. Couldn't hear myself for a second there. So I'm going to take them off for the next one for our non-denominational number for you heathens out there. Anyway, I kid. Thank you for the thought.
We're not naming names. It's okay.
No, that's right. My helper, who shall remain nameless, because I'm sure she'd get embarrassed, is looking at it on me with horror. So, other. Thank you. Come a little bit closer. Don't need to be so camera shy. So I should know this one. That's the thing. It's like this is like a Christmas classic. I don't sing this enough to actually remember it. So
listen, this is what happens when your buddy texts you at 5:30 to say, "Hey, you should play a live concert in an hour."
Yeah, well, yeah. But it'll be fun. What I did to choose this one is that I went through my Christmas albums, and for some reason I decided I'm feeling Brian Setzer. Now I can't play like Brian Setzer, but I chose one off of his Christmas album, and I went with Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And I wish I could play as cool and as awesome as he does. I do play Gretsch, and I thought about playing this song electrically, but I'm not sure how it would sound. So you get it acoustically. And I'm going to take my headphones off. All right. Let's see if I can hear myself better this time. Thank you. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not hide. I'm telling you lies. Santa Claus is coming to town. Taking a list, you're checking his lights. Gonna find out who's naughty and nice. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been mad or good. So be good for goodness sake. Wrong chorus. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. With a little tin horn, a little toy drum, root toot toot and lummy tum tum. Santa Claus is coming to town. And curly haired dogs that cuddle and chew, elephants, boats, and mini cars too. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been bad or good. So be good for goodness sake. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Little whistle. The kids in girl and boy town will have a jubilee. They're gonna build a toyland town all around the Christmas tree. Oh yeah. You better not shout, you better not cry, you better not hide. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming. Santa Claus is coming. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Attaboy. Attaboy.
Well done.
Thank you, Kevin. I love the Taylor too.
Attaboy.
That was awesome.
Yeah. So
Thanks, dude.
you are welcome. Thank you for having me on. You can.
So,
again-
how can people find you and connect with you?
Oh yes, shameless plugs. Absolutely shameless. Josh Gillespie on the Twitter. Thank you, Sean. JoshGillespie.com on the webs.
Hold on. We got to do that one.
JoshGillespie.com. The site's a work in progress. It actually looks fairly decent right now, but there'll be more coming. Ooh, scroll
Look at
bar.
that scroll.
Hey, when did you get professional, Jacob?
We are big time on this show.
Well
Jeez.
done.
No amateur crap around here, dude.
No. And on, I would say also on Instagram, Josh Gillespie Music, because some jerk took Josh Gillespie before I signed up for Instagram all these years ago. The one thing I missed.
It's okay.
Anyway, you try to get your name, and I got most everything. But so that's Josh Gillespie Music on Instagram. First single dropping January 4, and I'll be back on that Friday.
Yep.
I believe, and we'll play the lead single, and if Jacob's nice, maybe a couple of other tunes. Not Christmas
I don't know,
ones.
man. You might ruin our budget for the whole year.
That's right. I do charge by the song, so I mean,
I know.
you'll be getting my bill.
I've gotten 3 texts from your agent while we've been on the air.
He is relentless.
I'm like, renegotiate. Got to take his headphones off first. Come on.
Anyway, Jessica, good to see you. Mariana, good to see you again.
Likewise.
It's very good to see you.
So,
Jacob, thank you for having me.
We'll wrap this up, and I'll wrap it up by saying I appreciate all 3 of y'all.
We appreciate
Y'all have been
you
a gift to me.
And thank you, Jacob.
Josh, you're my oldest and dearest friend. I love you, and one reason why I wanted you to do this is because I wanted people to see part of who you are and why you're a good guy and why you're the kind of guy who will play a concert an hour after getting a text message.
It's because I do love playing. It's not just here's the funny thing is that, and you remember this from a few years ago when I was doing the political punditry. I had no problem being the quote unquote media whore. But since kind of backing away from politics I've kind of shied away from that. So getting back into this, and at least it's a fun thing to do. I'm doing something I enjoy with it. That's
right.
So, anytime you call.
We that's how we talked about 2020. So
that's right.
As the theme. So Mariana, thank you for being my friend. I appreciate you. Appreciate our friendship.
Yeah.
Jessica, none of this would be possible without you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your friendship. So Merry Christmas to everybody.
Nice.
Happy Hanukkah. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we will catch you in January.
Yes.
All right. Bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hold on, we got.
What?
Hold on, wait. We got to do this.
Oh. That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect.
Evan.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Evan.
Evan, thanks for tuning in too, brother. Appreciate it. All right, y'all. Merry Christmas. We'll see you soon.
Likewise.
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.